But it's fine. Our opponent only has one card. What can they do? I hope I hope that doesn't bite my ass. Hey yo, how's it going everyone? Entropy here today with another video. Today we're going to be doing another deck profile, this time officially of G-Stat 3. Now on JP, I have rolled this set. I have played Messiahs, I've done a deck profile on that, I've done Golds, I've gimped, but still, it's fine. But I haven't done a Shadow Paladin deck profile yet. And the reason being is because I didn't have a Revenger core there. And from my playtesting, from my experience on JP, and now the global ladder, 6 days into the G-Stat 3 meta, I'm comfortable to say that the best variant of Shadow Paladin G-Stat 3 is still the Revenger Legion build plus a G-Zone. So without further ado, let's go into the deck and talk about it, and then go into a game or two and see how it performs. So first things first is, I think this deck is honestly kind of sad because it looks like it's very free to play friendly on paper, because you know, maybe 90% of the deck it's stuff that you probably already have, or you can get through the super deck, or you know, it's not hard to craft and all that, especially with fighters collection medals and all that. But you look at the G-Zone and the whole reality shifts, because it is actually a very, very, very expensive deck. But unfortunately, I do love my Shadow Paladins, and it is very strong, so I can't really give up on them. So I guess let's just quickly go through the core, the main deck. It's basically what you've seen before, but I'll just go review it. Let's start with the Judged by Revenger. It's really great because your grade 3s, most of the grade 3s have the Phantom name. Some of your strides have the Phantom name as well. When it boosts hits, counterblast 1, put this into your soul to call 2 grade 1s as rest. So, you know, you have units like Swordbreaker that says when they're placed from the deck, Soul Blast 1 to draw 1 to help you keep plussing. But even without Swordbreakers, you know, just setting up stuff like Doreen's, which helps you set up your counter charges, setting up stuff like Darkbond Trumpeter, which gives you more tokens to retire for the next turn, or maybe a Shadow Lancer. Rare option for Judge Battle, but still, it is a thing to Superior Call. And if not, then PGs, of course. So, Swordbreakers, you have multiple ways, primarily through Judge Battle to Superior Call this. Take that chance to Soul Blast 1, draw 1. Setting up a drop zone for your Legion, maybe. But most importantly, the draw 1 is really nice. You have your Doreen, again, to set up your counter charges, help you retire with Blaster Dark Revenger itself, but also your counter blast costs for your strides, for your Legion, and all the other shenanigans. You have the Shadow Lancer, which helps you search for the Mordred Phantom. You don't need to break ride to win, but I would say that is the case when you have a more developed G-Zone. Right now, I do think that my build is still really reliant on the break ride turn. The break ride turn still gives a lot of value, a lot of pressure to our opponent, and Mordred Phantom is still a really great break ride. And lastly, we have one Darkbond Trumpeter just as a option to help you call one extra thing, and it's solid like that. And for Revenger PGs, we don't need the counter charge that much. I'd rather have the Revenger name, because the Abyss Legion does require Revenger name for the retire. For the grade 2s, we're playing 3 of the Blaster Dark Revenger Abyss. Helps you counterblast 1 to retire grade 1 or less. Grade 1 rearguard. Excuse me. It's solid, but you'd rather have the original Blaster Dark Revenger, which says on plays counterblast 2, retire 1 of your opponent's rearguard, because it allows you to retire the front row. And also selective matchups like Aquaforce, it lets you retire the Basils or the Diamantes in the back row. Of course, we play 2 of the Macart. When Legion call a grade 1 or less Revenger from your deck as rest, helps you fill up the board for the Abyss turn as well. And we play 4 of the Woolly Revenger Mana. Now, I really like Mana because it helps you get a unit for free without counterblast or without name cost, and worst case scenario, you don't actually use that unit. It goes back to the bottom of the deck, so it helps you kind of slightly, ever so slightly, increase your odds of hitting the next trigger. But generally, I really like the Mana because it helps you superior call something like a Trumpeter or something like a dead Shadow Lancer you don't need because you are on the right grade 3, and you can retire it for your strides costs, you know, not just your break ride turn. For the grade 3s, we play 4 of the Mordred Phantom, which lets you get 10k and Superior Call a grade 2 or less from your deck and give it +5. Your main target is the Blaster Dark Revenger, But some other targets could be the mana, could be the Makart, because you're going to be legioning after that, or maybe rarely the Abyss. Your main grade 3 break red target is the Phantom Blaster Abyss, which lets you Caramblast 1, retire 3 Rangers, stand this and draw 2 at the end of the battle. This unit attack the Vanguard, and the turn you Legion. Helps you multi-attack, it's very strong. If you haven't seen this in action, go check out my previous video. And Cormac is just your backup, and gets you a crit. I do like splashing Cormac in any non-Revenger based Shadow Paladin deck, just because it does not require Revenger retire, and gives you a crit and helps you Legion and do all that, so it's quite nice, and 4 heal guards, of course. So this is the meat of the video. This is what you're watching for, the G-Zone. Now ideally you'd be playing 4 of this and 4 of this, but we don't have 4 of each because that's expensive, and if you haven't seen my YouTube community post yet, I am poor. So let's talk about what our options are. So first stride, generally you do want to go Aura Gazer Dragon. Aura Gazer is just amazing. When this attacks Vanguard, Caramblast 1, G Persona, retire 2 of your rear guards to check top 2, add them to your hand. If it's grade 1 or less, for each, you get plus 5k. You don't really care about the numbers because you're probably still in the early stage of the game, like 2 or 3 damage-ish. But just being able to get rid of whatever's on your board, just draw instead, is very nice. Helps you draw into your PGs or whatnot. Stuff like mana give you free retires, so take advantage of that. Another first round option could be Grim Recruiter. When this hits, call grade 1 or less from your deck. So you can call out something like a Swordbreaker, you can call out something like a Doreen's or something. And you could potentially even multi-attack with it, because it's superior calls in stand position. So there's that as well. You have the Dracula Revenant, which I'm not a big fan of, but it is an option if you have a Revenger Heart, which is all your grade 3s. You retire a rearguard to call a grade 1 or less Revenger from your deck and give it plus 3k. So this is in your main phase, and you can do that to set up your Doreen's maybe. Then you have the Dark Knight Efnisian, and it is a really rare option you choose this, but it is your Counterblast less retire option. So when players retire rearguard, give it plus 7k, and when it hits, retire something. So it's like a worse Mahmoud, but I guess it helps you scale numbers and retire something without having to rely on Blaster Dark or Blaster Dark. We play 1 Harmonics just for the Link Joker matchup. Do you need this often? Not really, but it's there. And for your second stride onwards, of course you could stride any of the ones previously, but of course you have the Dark Dragon Phantom Blaster Diablo, which lets you get the 10k and a crit, and also that conditional guard restrict. So you can retire 3 of your rearguards when you attack a Vanguard to activate the following. If your opponent has 1 or less rearguards, your opponent has to basically use a grade 3 to activate a Sentinel. If not, if they have 2 or more, then they retire 2. So you can use this, you can control your opponent's board through the Blaster Darks primarily to proc the Phantom Blaster Diablo skill you want. Generally, just a 10k and a crit is nice enough. The guard restrict, it's still early in the game. Your opponent probably can find a way to deal with it or whatever, but it's still really strong. Of course, if you have 4, then you can use it more. You don't really need to think about the timing as much because you can just spam it. But right now we only have 2, so we have to really care about that. What is the winning image? So we're going to start off with Judge by Revenger. We're going to go into the Shadow Lancer. If you have the Mordred in hand already, maybe ride the Darkborn Trumpeter. If you have the Swordbreaker, ride Swordbreaker because it's a dead card already. Grade 2 turn, you're probably going to ride the Makart, maybe the Revenger Amis. And then for the grade 3 turn, we want to ride the Mordred, and then transition into the Phantom Blaster or the Cormac, probably the Phantom Blaster. If you're going second, you're going to go stride into one of the first stride options here that we mentioned, depending on your matchup. And if you're going second, if you're going first, then just Mordred and just Judge Bow and Superior Call with the Swordbreakers and draw and set up your turn. And then after that, depending on your damage rate, if your opponent's at 4 or whatever, you can just go straight into the break ride, or you can, depending on your opponent's board again, go into the Diablo and try to pressure guard restrict and whatnot. So that's basically the list. This deck has a main deck focus winning image, but what I like about it is that you also have extra options in your stride zone. All the Shadow Paladin strides aren't amazing, but they give you, card draw, they give you Superior Call, they give you Superior Call as well, they give you Retire, they give you Guard Restrict and Crit Pressure. So there's a lot of options. I really like the deck, I really like the aesthetics, and enough said, let's go into a game or two and see how this deck performs. Now, of course, Shadow Paladin, other than the GRs, you have other supports as well. You have Claret Sword Dragon, which will be a rank reward as well. And we'll get support in G set 4. Do I like the deck? I don't really like that deck. But I can see the appeal, I guess. You know, you're drawing a lot, you're thinning through the deck, and I guess you can play more aggressive triggers. On the other side, you also have the Blaster Dark Diablo build, which centers around making use of the Diablo Stride. Now, if you have 4 copies, maybe that's a fine idea, but overall, the Revenger core is just more solid. It has a more clearer image, and there's just many outs. There's many options to finish the game, and I definitely do prefer that. So here we have the hand. I'm gonna just keep a grade 1, grade 2. Let's see if we can draw into a Mordred. We're gonna get a lot of Blaster Darks. 1 PG I think is a fine keep, especially against Damage and Police here. We're going second, which is great, because it's not like we're doing much on our first grade 3 turn anyways. Going second is good because you get to stride first, and then you get to basically pick and choose if you want to go into the Diablo or the Break Ride the turn after. Now, of course, you can just go straight into the Legion. Again, if you do have 4 of the GRs, you have more options. Then going straight into the Legion is fine as well, simply because you have better options in the G zone. You know, most games you don't see Harmonics, most games you don't see Dark Knight Efnician. So, you know, if you have 4 Orgazer, that probably feels really good. Just draw if you don't have any options. But right now we have what we have, and that's just how it is. So I'm gonna ride the MS here. No animation, unfortunately. I'm gonna call out the grade 2. Attack. Remember, Cormac doesn't proc the Judge Bow, so be careful if you do ride that as your first grade 3 target. Of course, you can eventually still proc it if you go straight into Phantom Blaster Diablo. It is the only stride with the Phantom name, so that is also a play you could think about. You know, even if you go into Cormac, you could still stride into Diablo, tuck in the Judge Bow, Superior Call 2 Sword Means, and try to unbrick yourself. Is that a good play? I don't know, it depends on the situation, but it is a play. Something else to consider is the Madieu, our Lord and Savior Madieu. I really like that card. I tried it in this deck because we do play 5 Legions. I don't like it as much because Shadow Paladin already have a lot of Superior Call and draw power options. Speak of the Phantom. So I don't think the Madieu giving you a grade 3 tech or whatever is that important for this deck. So here, I think I'm gonna go into the Aura-Gazer Dragon. Just let me try to dig into my deck to draw into the PGs or Heal Guards or whatever, since they are going to the Daikaiser, Dayusha shenanigans that does Guard Break. And that is quite scary. The Retire is... I'm going to keep that. That's fine. Nope. Just going to call 2 stuff out for the Aura-Gazer skill cost. Because we can't retire the Judge Bow before we hit. So retire 2, we're going to draw 2. And another synergy with Aura-Gazer here is that it immediately sets up your GB2, so if you are playing Diablo or whatever, like Blaster Dark Diablo, then your strides, your heart skill is already active, which is quite nice. Judge Bow here helps us search for Dorit and Swordbreaker because our second Swordbreaker went to the damage. And keep digging for those guards. Soul Blast your mates. There we go, that's the PG, that's what we need. Yes, remember to Soul Blast your mates with your cost so you can confidently Legion. Even if they're not in your deck anymore, you can put them from the drop zone to your deck. And the Great Daikaiser here is one of the triple rares you can exchange in the Dimension Police event. So be careful, because you know, whenever an event comes, even if it's not a meta deck, people have access to them and people want to try just something new, and so just be wary of what they do because they are going to be more frequent, especially the first few days when the event came out. Daijet is quite strong. Okay, you're just gonna draw 2 and retire something from the back row on hit. Next turn, what we can choose to do is we can choose the Break Ride play. or we can choose the Diablo play. That's the two main lines of play here. I think the break ride play is still really strong. Opponent heal back to 3 though. I don't know now. I don't know now. But I think the break ride play is still good because we get to cycle through some stuff back to the deck. Oh, well, never mind. No break ride play for us. We're just gonna go Strident. We're just gonna go Strident. Gonna draw. We are gonna go into we could do this just for the 10k and a crit, honestly. You know, retiring our opponent's back row isn't that important to me. So we're gonna retire, we're gonna rearguard to rearguard, and then rearguard to Vanguard, and then Vanguard to Vanguard. Still have a little bit of cards. You can choose to always not invoke it. Here, I don't think it's necessary. I'd rather keep that board. Just pump up the numbers. Asking for PG. No PG! That's game. There you go. Well, that was easy. That's generally not what happens. But I guess it happens. It's possible. You just crit and then not use the skill and still pass. So I think one of the good things about the deck, as we just demonstrated, is you are quite aggressive, but you also are quite safe. You know, you can establish a board, you can kind of push for game in many different ways, but you still comfortably draw a lot, enough to just confidently place down stuff, and you still have a bunch of PGs and heal guards in hand. So that's one of the best parts about the deck. So here again, I'm just going to keep the Mordred Phantom. I think I'm fine with that. I'm going to draw into another one as well. Against Gear Chronicles, of course, Gears got more support through Fighter's Collection. You have your Epoch Maker, which isn't that great of a card. And then you have your Pegasus, Upheaval Pegasus, which I quite like. So I'm going to ride the Swordbreaker. Again, generally this is just mainly used for the Judge Vow and the Superior Call through the Grim Recruiter. You can always recycle it through the regular Revenant, I guess, but it's not that big of a deal. Draw Trigger is quite nice. Critical on the Chrono Jet. This is the odd deck. So again, I'm going to turtle up just in case. Against these crit-based decks, you know, it's like, especially since most gear decks, if they're not playing 4 Chrono Jet, that's kind of weird. Like, they're probably going to be losing anyways. If they are playing 4 Chrono Jet, it's 4 crits in the deck already. And all I need to do is just turtle up, and then you'll probably win. So I'm just going to set up my intercepts. I'm just going to stride into whatever, or just draw. And I think that's more than enough. You know, depending on the matchup, this is just one of those common things against noobs. It's just, you don't need to focus on actually trying to win. You just need to not lose. Just hold your fort, and then you will probably win. So we're just gonna Superior Call. Not gonna use that. Your Superior Call options. Superior Call is stuff that you don't really care for, because you could still draw a trigger into the grade 1 that you prefer. It's rare, but it is something. It does also mean that the grade 1 that you don't care about is at the bottom of the deck. So it's just not really likely you'll see it unless you shuffle the deck through Legion or whatever. So it helps your odds a little bit. Going into the Ruin Disposal Legion. I quite like this card. But opponent, you know, probably going to use the Ruin Disposal to put the starter back, because it does not have resist, so bye-bye, Judge Vow. I'll come see you soon. Oh, second sword me. So, I mean, strategy battle's not going to bring up much value anyways. Let's see if our opponent sees a crit. No crit here. Bam, bam. Alright, we're going to go into the Mordred. Remember when many units had ride animations? Pepperidge Farm remembers. Here, I don't know if draw is better or just the superior call is better. I think the draw is still better. Because we can use the trumpeter to call out a token, and that's the 2 retire cost already. Should we kill it? Yeah, we can kill it just in case they Fate Rider it. That's cool. It's gonna push. Pulling out the heal guard is fine. It's fine. Like, it's a risky play. But it's not like I won't Legion. And I do want some units on my board to do so. I think it's a bit risky for pushing that 1 damage. But it's fine. Our opponent only has 1 card. What can they do? I hope I hope that doesn't bite my ass. But we did draw into the PGs. That's fine. Seems like they skipped their stride phase, which means they can't pay the cost for striding. So things are looking pretty good for us. They're gonna stride. Legion. Gonna toss that grade 2 back to the deck. They can then toss the trumpeter back to the deck. So I guess maybe committing that was a misplay, but yeah, just a bit greedy. Call the grade 2. They can't hit numbers unless they crit and then pass the power to the rearward column. Yeah, there you go. There you go. Well, again, I don't know why, but it's something. Nice draw trigger. Nice. Gives us some cards to play with. Alright, we're gonna go break rod. This is beauty. Call up the mana for the free body. Some other options you have is in the main maybe, but not a super big fan of the main because you do draw enough through the strides and whatnot again. I think the good thing about the main is that it lets you draw before your stride. Okay, so no stride. Set them a cart. Legion. Just put the triggers back. Still very early into the game. This is what, turn 4? So, like, if it's deeper in the game, maybe you'd be more wary about putting triggers back to the deck. But right now, it's still early. It's still early. Cart. Mana free body means we can wipe the back row and be chill with the cost. Not at risk at all. Draw trigger stack on the Vanguard because they restand, and you do want that numbers pumped up. That's it. Push. That's it. No, don't even need the restand unless they 6 damage shield, which they still have 4 of. That's game. So 420 plus 2 zeros. Magic number. There we go. So, what can I say? Ranked up extra points. That means they were ranked higher than we were. Yeah, lower levels are a joke, but that's just how it is. And we got our 10 garbage coupons, and that's basically it for today. So, final remarks. Of course, thank you all so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and want to see more. Thank you so much to Nova Grappler, Kamui, and to Mello for supporting the channel by being members. Would love it if you could too. Check out the description box for some more details maybe. But other than that, I think the deck is really solid. It's quite consistent, and it's easy to pick up because I expect most people who played during the Legion era to have most of these units and have experience piloting the deck. If you don't have these cards, you can always pick up the Blaster Dark Avengers through the View Coupon shop. Let me just show you that. You can always pick them up through here, which you should have access to a ton of, because it's not that hard to pick up. So you can get these, and the first copy is 50% off, so that's nice. And then you can also pick up your break ride here, your raging for maybe your mate here, and you have Phantom Blaster Abyss here. So your core units you can pick up through Fighters Collection medals. You're gifted 54 packs, which means you have 50 of these medals, so you should be at least able to exchange for 5 triple rares. 5 triple rares. And I would suggest you pick up the Wardred Phantom, honestly, because it's more flexible. But if you have some of the stuff, if you bought the super decks, you have 2 super deck medals, remember, then you can pick up the Phantom Blaster Abyss Legions, and that's already a really solid deck. The rest, double rares, whatever you can grind for, shouldn't be hard to pick up. If you really want the budget option, then you can play more Cormacs maybe, but your end game is not as explosive, I have to say. So you have lots of ways to pick up these cards right now. So if you do want to play the deck, definitely go consider that and pick them up before the metal shop goes away. That's basically it. Appreciate you for watching this video. I wish we had AGRs, but we don't. But I guess this is a more realistic setup for most of us. You know, me and you, the viewer. Not everyone's a whale. So that's just how it is. If you had 4 Phantom Blaster Diablos, you just have more consistent access to like crit pressure and just guard restrict and like just damage denying your opponent, which is really helpful in some matchups. With more Aura Gazers, you could be more aggressive with your early game because you know confidently you can just scoop the whatever's on your board and draw 2 after you strike. So that's really good too. But on hit, Superior Gold on grade 1, great synergy with Sword Me, especially. Doreen is fine as well. You have your Dark Knight, which helps you retire something rare, but it's there. And the Harmonics, always Link Joker is quite popular on ladder, so you might want to have a copy just because it's filler, and the Triangular Revenant just because DF said so, right? So that's basically it. Thank you so much for watching. Click one of these videos if you want to see more. Comment down below if you have a specific deck you want to see or anything you want to talk about. Vanguard 0, Master Duel, Life, anything. And yeah. Bye. 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 Bye.